One of the things I want to make sure we hit on while we have you, I know we only got you for a short time, um, something that you cover in your movie. I want to go over two of Hillary Clinton's mentors, her mentors, that being Margaret Sanger and Saul Alinsky. For people out there who might not understand the depths of evil of Hillary Clinton, can you get into what her relationship and her admiration for these two were?
Well, let's start with Margaret Sanger. Now, Margaret Sanger lived in the early part of the 20th century, so obviously Hillary didn't know her. She admires the woman's legacy and what she stood for. She received the Margaret Sanger Award in Houston in 2009 and did this kind of eulogy to Margaret Sanger, saying that we should all admire her and we should fight for the cause that she fought for. Now, what was that cause? Well, the conventional wisdom and the propaganda put out by Planned Parenthood, the organization she started, is, Margaret Sanger was just all about spacing out your pregnancies. It's about how women should have control over their own reproduction. Well, actually, Margaret Sanger wasn't about that at all. It wasn't that she thought the population was too big and people should have fewer children. She actually had a racist view of this whole thing. And she thought that educated light-skinned people should have more children and uneducated dark-skinned people should have no children, and that if they couldn't be persuaded to do that, they should be forcibly sterilized. Now, Margaret Sanger's work was so impressive to a group of people, namely the Nazis, that they used it for the basis of their sterilization laws. These are the sterilization laws that affected delinquents and mental defectives and so on. Actually, this was before the Nazis even focused on the Jews. And also Margaret Sanger had something called the Negro Project, which was a basic project and plan to reduce the size of the black population in America. And she hired black ministers to be her sort of missionaries, if you will, to the black community to convince people to limit their reproduction. This is Margaret Sanger. You'd think today that nobody would defend her, and people would think that this kind of eugenic philosophy, which has a Nazi edge or tinge to it. But no, Hillary knows all about this. She's not a fool, and she very self-consciously embraces Margaret Sanger. Saul Alinsky is a little different because Hillary knew Alinsky. She met him in high school. She brought him to Wellesley College when she was a student there. So he was an actual mentor in the sense that I think he was instrumental in moving Hillary from being a kind of young conservative, a Goldwater girl in her teenage years, to becoming not only a left-wing radical, but essentially a crook like Alinsky himself.
Right on the money. I mean, okay. And that's very succinctly explained. Thank you so much. Now, one thing